Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Rupp Report. I am your host, Tyler Russell, joined by co-host Israel Schill. Last week, we talked about Kentucky coming up against Purdue with their exhibition game, number one team in the country. We weren't too sure what to expect with Jalen Lowe being out, Jaden Quaintance being out. Cats got it done, 78-65, 13-point win over the number one team in the country. And Purdue did play all their starters, and they played their full roster. They all got a good chunk of minutes. What did you see?
I do want that to be like the number one thing that people look at is the fact that people are going to say Matt Painter doesn't care about exhibition games. Purdue wasn't trying. Purdue didn't have everybody out there. Braden Smith played damn near 30 minutes. You know what I mean? Like they were trying, obviously, or else they wouldn't have been playing their starters that deep into the game. They would have been putting in freshmen and younger guys instead of the guys they know are going to produce no matter what.
For sure.
I think for the Cats, huge game. Obviously, it was not their best performance despite the win. You know, it's hard to say, okay, well, you beat the number one seed and number one team in the country by 13, but you didn't shoot great. And defense was fine, but mostly Purdue just wasn't having a good night scoring.
Yeah.
So you can't really attribute all your defensive success to that. You know what I mean? So there's definitely things to look at going forward. What do you think are the main things that they should be looking at?
I do want to touch on what you just said. Purdue, they didn't shoot well at all. I mean, and when you look at the defense, you could say that Kentucky won by 13. Like you said, they held them low. But they did miss a ton of shots and wide open shots.
A ton of shots, dude.
Like concerning as the number one team. Again, exhibition game, their first game. We're not worried about Purdue. I mean, Kentucky won't face them again. The only time they'll see them again this year is March, if that.
Yeah.
So move past that. But Jasper Johnson,
boy.
First game, 15 points, 60% from the field, 42.8% from three. He had Rupp electrified, rightfully so.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked like Rob Dillingham again. People are calling him the lefty Rob Dillingham.
Yeah.
And he looked phenomenal. Otega, Trent Noah were the only other two players to have 10-plus points, which you could look at it from both ways as concerning, or you could look at it as there's only three players that had 10-plus points, and they still put up 78 against the number one team in the country.
Shows the depth.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what a lot of people are talking about. And for them to go out there and execute that and really flaunt that in their first game, exhibition game, is a really, really, really good sign.
Definitely. And it's tough because as a Kentucky fan, you want to jump to conclusions. You know what I mean? You want to be like, Jasper Johnson's going to be SEC Freshman of the Year. He's going to be a first-round draft pick. But, you got to, take it back down a little bit and realize, okay, Jasper got that many minutes because J-Lo was hurt. And obviously Denzel filled in a lot of those minutes too. So the two of them are going to have to kind of obviously not compete for those minutes, but complement each other going on as the season happens. But I like the point about Rob Dillingham because, you don't really expect to have somebody – obviously you know that you have a freshman star coming off the bench.
For sure.
You don't necessarily expect them to come out there and have a game like that every single time. You know what I mean? And so it kind of took a few weeks for people to be like, yo, Rob Dillingham is that guy. You know what I mean? And so this could be a same situation for Jasper Johnson. But at the same time, J-Lo comes back in a few weeks. His minutes go down, his production goes down. But then you have to remember they got this sniper on the bench. They got a kid on the bench who could come out here and change the name of the game pretty quickly. Yeah. And especially in the home games at Rupp, being able to flip the energy like that when you have 20,000 fans behind you, that's definitely
for damn near every game.
Yeah, for literally every game.
This was an exhibition. It was the number one team, but there's no doubt in my mind.
It didn't feel like an
Nicholls,
exhibition.
when that comes up, the first game of the season, that'll be
absolutely,
as Rupp always is, packed to the brim.
Yeah, definitely.
But while we're on the topic of freshmen, how about Malachi Moreno?
Malachi
8 points,
great.
4 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block, 4 for 5 from the field. And we talked about how big of an impact Oscar Clough was going to have, the South Dakota State transfer. He held him. I don't even know if this counts, I guess. No buckets. He had 1 point. It was a free throw.
Yeah.
I mean, Malachi
that's
looks
no
solid.
buckets to me.
Yeah, exactly. And it was his birthday.
Yeah, yes.
He had for a Kentucky kid down the road, that's a dream birthday, I would say.
Oh, for sure. I mean, having, the post-game interview that was on SEC Network with, Jasper, we're the best team in the country, and they were singing Malachi happy birthday, and it's looked
like the Thunder out
there. That's
exactly
what I was just going to say. It looks exactly like young OKC Thunder out there, having fun. And obviously these aren't guys who are fifth years and seniors and juniors like we had last season. And so the maturity level is going to be different.
Yeah.
And not to say that this team is immature, but it's clear that they are not going to be, taking on the problems as head-on as the team last year did.
Yeah.
So I think we'll kind of see how they're able to fluctuate with that maturity level. But Malachi was great. I mean, you put a guy in there where obviously he's competing with a lot of bigs on this team and a lot of good bigs with a lot of experience. And obviously when JQ comes back, probably a top 10 draft pick.
For sure.
To have Malachi come in and be really productive and maybe not the flashiest guy on the floor, the guy who's going to be out there blocking 10 shots a game, but somebody who you can go out there and be like, give us good minutes in the post, please, because we need it. And defense and offense, he was there for both sides.
Yeah, and like you mentioned with JQ out, Brandon Garrison's going to be getting a ton of more minutes coming in as, I think he's going to be a junior or a senior, but him, junior or senior, I don't remember if it was 1 or 2 years.
He was a sophomore last year, right?
Yeah, I think 1 year at OK State last year. So coming in as a junior, he's going to have a lot of minutes with JQ out. When he's gassed, who's going to step up?
Yeah,
You're going to say, oh, the freshman's coming in. But he didn't play like it was like kind of like Jasper, his first game in Kentucky Threads. He looked phenomenal from what I saw. And aside from that 1-3, that kind of, you know what, F it, we ball, that 3.
Ooh, I was like, ooh.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You see that one go up and it's like, yikes, man.
Let's just
respect the hustle, I guess.
Just leave that to like Trent Noah. Or
why don't you leave that to one of the guys who are getting paid to do that?
yeah, exactly. But basing off of moving forward off of that, not only did Kentucky win by 13 points, they led for 37 minutes and 38 seconds.
Yeah.
Purdue only had a lead for 1 minute and 13 seconds, and I think it was Fletcher Lawyer who hit the first 3.
I was going to say, I was pretty sure it's the first bucket of the game.
Yeah, I was like, oh, geez, here we go. Fletcher Lawyer. Then's going to come
have
Braden
a legacy
Smith.
Game.
Yeah. He's going to kind of like silence everyone like all
Man, were we wrong.
Twitter was saying. Yeah, and hey, I'll be wrong any day of the week if the outcome looks like that.
Definitely.
So let's kind of move real quick into the Georgetown preview.
Yeah.
So Kentucky is going up against the Georgetown Hoyas, led by Ed Cooley. Georgetown played one exhibition game on October 18th, and they beat George Washington 73-64. Now, George Washington in the A-10, you could say, oh, they only beat them, by 9 points. That's whatever. It's not a good win. George Washington, if you look at any A-10 power rankings, any A-10 preview, George Washington's towards the top.
Yeah.
They've really consistently built off of the leadership that they have there. So that's a good win for Georgetown.
Definitely.
And that could be something to note, but I don't really expect it to be too difficult of a game for Kentucky.
No.
And I'm pretty confident when I say this that Georgetown in the Big East, there's a lot of good schools there. There's a lot of rocking schools there in terms of home court advantage, but Georgetown's not going to face a team like Kentucky this whole year or be in an away environment like Kentucky this entire year. And I'm excited to see what goes on in that game.
Me too. It's tough, when you are Georgetown to be like, man, we have to go in a Rupp. You know what I mean?
Thankfully for them, it's only an exhibition. If this is a regular season game, what you just said would probably be times 10.
Oh,
This is
definitely.
like a guaranteed loss.
Yeah, and especially following up a Purdue win, this fan base is riled up. The guys are riled up. Everybody's feeling very cohesive and very strong as a unit. So it's like, if I'm Georgetown, I'm peeing my pants. I'm a little scared. You know what I mean? Because
rightfully so.
Realistically, this is fixing to be a beatdown. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, you can say what you want. Malik Mack, huge transfer for Georgetown to get this offseason, and he picked up right back where he left off with 16-4 against George Washington. But you're going to need a lot more than that to take down the Cats, and you're going to need a lot more than they're heavy on the guard play, and they're going to need, I think, a lot more than just strong guard play to take down Kentucky. Yeah,
and they got Georgetown, has 2 solid transfers coming in, 2 guards, Langston Love from Baylor, KJ Lewis from Arizona, and like you said with Malik Mack as well, it's going to be a strong opponent individually for Kentucky to go against them. Their defense is going to be tested for sure.
Definitely.
Langston Love is available coming in from Baylor. He averaged 8.9 points per game last year, but he is dealing with a hamstring injury, so he didn't play in that first exhibition game.
Probably going to be some restricted minutes coming into this.
I was just going to say, if he does play, it's an exhibition. It's not going to be a ton. Exactly. It's not going to be.
It's not March Madness. They're not putting him out there for 30 minutes with a hamstring injury.
Like if you tear it, it's whatever. This is life or death.
Exactly.
But, Another guard, like we mentioned, KJ Lewis, averaged 10.8 per game last year at Arizona, 6 points, 4 rebounds against George Washington. I'm really excited to see. We know Denzel Aberdeen's good defensively. I'm really excited to see Ortega play defense against these guards.
Yeah, I think that when you think about, from a standpoint of yes, you want to see the defense play well, but also if you're Ortega, it's time to show these scouts what I can do on the defensive side of the ball. You know what I mean? Because last year we saw everything he could do with the ball in his hand, but now when he's on the flip side of that, you got to see how he's going to be able to play because with where his draft stock is currently, if he's not playing good defense, then he's going to be a bottom second-round pick this year. You know what I mean? So sorry, what were you going to say?
No, to your point, for the Kentucky Media Day, myself included, I know some other media guys that we know, a lot of people, Ortega publicized that he had really strong goals for himself this season.
Yeah.
Whenever anyone asked him what they were, he was saying that he wasn't going to say it. He was going to keep it to himself. And there was no doubt in my mind that one of those is to play better defense.
Absolutely.
Because like you said, you could do everything you want. Aside from his jump shot, which is getting better, his defense is going to be the only thing that would keep him out of the NBA. So this is going to be a good preseason test for him to kind of strengthen that before the season starts.
Yeah.
I don't think that if Ortega doesn't play, like we mentioned, if he doesn't play solid defense, he's not going to make it to the NBA. So that's also going to be a better chip on his shoulder.
Absolutely.
Because in the NBA, to get drafted, you have to be able to do everything. You have to be able to shoot. You have to be able to play good defense, be good with the ball, good movements. And he possesses pretty much all of that. But like we said, the one knock is defense.
Yeah, and it's I'm sure it's tough for him because he is so talented on the offensive side of the ball. Other than the weird hitch jumper that he's got going on, the lag, whatever that, it's still a little awkward to watch.
No, he tweaked it, but I saw it and I was like, ooh.
I was like, ooh, yep, that still ain't pretty. It's no Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. Though, so at least it's all the way up.
It's not
gonna
be Kobe flamethrower Kobe Bryant.
No,
could be that, but
no, it's actually, but no, I do think more individual matchups, I think, will be what Kentucky's looking to capitalize on. So, for them, obviously, as a whole, they're thinking this game should probably be pretty easy. There shouldn't be much to worry about. But let's get Jasper Johnson out there playing defense early.
Yeah, that's a big one, too.
Yeah, let's get these young guards and these younger players out there playing against this top-of-the-country talent on guard. Because if you're coming in with a team in an exhibition, you obviously want to practice to the strengths that the team you're playing against.
Yeah.
So if you know that this team's coming in with 3 or 4 guards that are really talented, let's get your guards out there, rotate them in minutes, get them practicing out different defensive sets against these guys who are been playing and are very talented. So I think it'll be great on the individual matchup sense, less so great on the team matchup sense. I think Kentucky will blow them out of the water.
Yeah, and last week when we were talking about the exhibition for Purdue, we talked about how Mark Pope versus Matt Painter was a pretty good one.
This is definitely another good one.
Yeah, this is another good one in Ed Cooley. I'm not going to come on here and say, again, it's an exhibition. You try different things. You put different players in different spots. We didn't really honestly see too much of that. It kind of felt like for Purdue in terms of minutes and Kentucky with what they're dealing with early on injuries, it wasn't too much, this guy's not going to do that. This guy's not going to get any minutes. Everyone that played, I think, for both teams is actually going to play a solid amount.
It's with all due respect, it's not like Kentucky threw Zach Tao out there on the floor.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So they're obviously going to keep trying to compete in games and situations like this.
And it's another, like we said, it's going to be another really good test for Mark Pope. We talked about this on the very first episode in the SEC, going back to back to back to back against all these outstanding coaches. And now you go from Matt Painter to Ed Cooley, who lit it up at Providence. I know he got a lot of negative feedback from the fan base from switching to another Big East school. Growing up in New Jersey, I grew up a big Seton Hall fan. I know Kevin Willard went to Maryland, and now he's at Villanova. Seton Hall fans aren't happy about that. But bringing it back, I think Mark Pope and Ed Cooley is going to be a pretty good matchup. And I don't know, I'm going to be honest, in terms of what Georgetown's going to do when they put their starters out and how they're going to rotate everything, being it's an exhibition game. But just the X's and O's, Mark Pope and Ed Cooley is a big one.
Yeah, definitely. And, it's really we're just going to have to see what happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're going to have to see how the play styles clash when we get out there. So what score prediction you got for Georgetown before we move on to this Nicholls game.
So I don't think it's going to be very close.
Yeah.
No matter who plays, I think Kentucky's probably 2 guys more deep than Georgetown at every position.
Yeah.
Honestly, you could argue with the guards.
Maybe
that
guard.
It's closer.
It's probably
closer.
But even then, it's like they can go bar for bar with them at guard pretty easily.
If you write like side by side roster depth chart piece of paper, I'm picking Kentucky every single position, every player on every position. I'm going to go 90-71 Kentucky, but I really wouldn't be surprised if they reached upwards somewhat near 100 points.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of in a similar boat. I have like a mid to high 80s to like low 60s, somewhere in like the 87 to 63 range. Would not be surprised if it was if they were busting up into the high 90s, just lighting it up out there. Everyone's feeling good, and obviously if they're feeling good defensively, then this could be a huge win for the Cats.
Yeah, and the only reason I could see Georgetown putting up a decent amount of points compared to our predictions is just if their guards, like we talked about, find a way to actually get past Aberdeen, Otega, Jasper, which I don't think they're going to, but we said it's going to be a good test for them. But that's the only logical reason I could think that Georgetown would get anywhere near 80, mid-80s. I don't even want to say 90s because that just sounds so unrealistic in my head. But the way that Georgetown would run it up on their end.
I truly don't think that Georgetown could score the 90s if they were playing most schools. You know?
Yeah, no. And I don't know if we mentioned this. Georgetown's projected to finish 6th place in the Big East.
Yeah.
And the Big East, I don't want to say they fell off, but it seems like every year there's Villanova went downhill.
Yeah,
but there's
St. John's seems to be the only school kind of bringing them back up and into things.
UConn,
obviously, but UConn's they've been around for a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Marquette's always competitive, but for them to finish 6th in the Big East or be projected to finish 6th, I would say for any team finishing in the lower half to halfway through your league isn't terrible for depending on the school's expectations. I know Kentucky but
it also depends on the league for sure.
Exactly. And there's not a ton of competitive teams in the Big East to the point where it's like, 6, that's good for them.
No, I couldn't name 5 teams in the Big East that I would say are going to be like a top 10 seed in the tournament. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So there's it's definitely something to think about. So Nicholls. October 4th.
Finally, regular season opener.
Yeah, I mean, talk about a team that they should blow out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough to look at these matchups and not lick your lips a little bit and just be like, oh boy, is this going to be a good one?
Yeah, and with all due respect to Nicholls, it almost feels like another exhibition game, honestly.
Glad you said it.
Yeah, I was like,
they got a few to start off the year up until Louisville, basically. That it's like, boy.
And if they could just keep pounding up points against those teams, anything to keep building their confidence, keep their swagger, like we talked about in the post-game press conference after the game. They're all around. They're hyped. They're feeling good. If they can just keep unloading points onto these teams that they're supposed to do that too, I think that they could go into the more competitive non-conference games with a better look. Nicholls, though, LSU, not the strongest, but it is an SEC team.
Yeah.
In 2023, Nicholls defeated LSU 68-66. So I wouldn't really consider that a major upset, but being an SEC team, that
losing to like a tiny school that I think only has a basketball program, basically, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you're like a powerhouse SEC school, I mean, that's like Kentucky, St. Peter's, Kentucky, Oakland. It's similar vibe, obviously not to the same level of intensity.
Like if Nicholls was to make the tournament, it would be a 15 versus 2 or 16 versus 1 game for them. Obviously being the 15 or the 16.
Exactly.
But I just can't see them. We talked about it a little bit, how Kentucky, it's basically another exhibition game. I'm talking like 40-plus point win for Kentucky.
That's kind of what I'm
30-plus, 40.
I remember last year when some of those early games we were playing and we were winning by 60.
I think they hung 108 on Jackson State last year.
Something like that. Yeah. I mean, they were just rolling through teams. I think this is going to be more of the same. It's going to be a nice step down, I think, from Purdue, obviously, and Georgetown.
Even Georgetown.
Even Georgetown, definitely, who, it's not that you're not going to have to think, but this is just go out and play basketball and you should win this game with your eyes closed and your right hand tied behind your back. You know what I mean? This should be a game that they have no problem with. I hope they're not looking at it that way.
Yeah.
I hope they're looking at it.
No team should ever talk about their opponent the way that we're talking about them.
The way that the media
clear.
talks about the opponent is much different than they should be looking at it.
Yeah.
Obviously, this should be the same way they're looking at playing Purdue. Because I do think that they were more than prepared for that matchup.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think if they kind of keep their preparation at a high point like they did against Purdue, this will be 103 to like 55.
Yeah.
Like this will be
honestly,
they might not even get 50.
Yeah,
like
that's the perfect realm of what I was going for.
Yeah.
103. I'll give them 60.
Yeah.
100 to 60, 40-point win. That would be a phenomenal way for your Kentucky to start the season. And like we were saying, it's not an unrealistic thought.
Yeah.
I for sure could see Kentucky just blowing them out, getting the season started off the right way.
Yeah.
People tend to overreact to opening season games,
Of
but
course.
a lot of them, they are lopsided non-conference games in terms of strength of opponents. But a lot of people would, if Kentucky only wins by 15 to 20 points, I'm sure a lot of Big Blue Nation, depending on the flow of the game or actually like more in depth of how players look and stuff, a lot of BBN would probably overreact if they only won by 15 points.
I would be one of them. If Kentucky only wins by 15 points against Nicholls, I would be like, whoa, got the whole school.
Here.
We got to come back, start over fresh.
So would you still think that even if with Kentucky, say they blow out Georgetown, they beat Purdue by 13, if they only say they won by 20 against Nicholls, would you still be a little? I mean, I think everyone would be like that, but how in depth would you? Really
I think
look at that?
if it was anywhere, I think if it's like less than a 20, if it's less than like a 15 to 20 point win, I'm thinking like
you got to start looking at.
Bad defense, bad shooting. Were we not in it? Were we playing? Rotation pieces from the bottom of the bench.
Did they know they were playing Nicholls?
Exactly. Did they realize they had a game today?
Yeah,
what I mean?
Against Nicholls, and kind of like we just said, it's just Nicholls.
Exactly.
Whatever.
So
I
there's
think that would
definitely
be the only reason that they would lose or win by just 20 or something like that.
There's definitely that threshold that they'd hit where you'd be like a little bit concerned about why it was, I guess, like quote unquote so close, because obviously a 20-point win wouldn't be close. But this is a team that just beat the number one team in the country by 13.
Yeah.
If you're coming and only beating
Nicholls by 7 more.
Nicholls by 7 more. Like, I genuinely didn't know what Nicholls was or where it is.
Really? I knew it was in Louisiana. I'm going to be totally honest. I maybe if I really sat down, thought about it, maybe I'd be able to name the conference right now. But I'm gonna go Southland Conference.
Yeah, I'm thinking something like that.
Let's see if I got ball knowledge.
Sun Belt? No,
they're not Sun Belt. They
They're
are
too small
in
for that.
Southland.
Wow, what a pull!
Wow.
What a pull, dude.
Right.
That's nice.
That's awesome. I
that's
love
good.
That's great.
Shout out, man! What a pull! Ball knowledge.
But we'll leave it there. November 4th, Tuesday, Kentucky is finally back in Rupp Arena. 7 o'clock, season opener.
God, I'm so excited.
I'm ready.
It's like been so long,
And it feels a little different from last year. I mean, like we said, I think on the other episode that no matter what, every year the fan base, especially at a school like Kentucky, is going to think we have a shot to win the Natty. They can do this. If this falls into place, they have a legit shot. But with the off season that they had in terms of additions and freshmen coming in and the transfers and all that stuff, it actually feels like I'm like more excited than ever as a student. I think honestly, maybe I'm looking at it different now, but if Cal had this team, I don't think that I'd still be excited. I'd still be like, okay, they have really good pieces going forward. But I was thinking about this the other day. I think that 2023, 2024 team with Reed Shepherd, Big Z,
that team was
Justin
great.
Edwards, DJ. I seriously think that if Mark Pope was the coach of that team, don't get me wrong.
They're not losing in the second round. At least.
Well,
first round.
Yeah,
actually,
they wouldn't lose to Oakland, and they'd make it past the first round. The second round, I think that's an Elite Eight team with Mark Pope.
Yeah. I think coaching has just worlds to say about what a team feels as a unit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because the teams, when Kyle was here towards the end, felt so disconnected from each other and from the school and from the environment and what it means to be playing Kentucky basketball. And so now I think with this reset and the refresh of having Pope in here and
seeing the way last year went.
Yeah, seeing how it went last year and seeing the guys buy into it this year. When you have everybody on the team and all of the coaching staff saying, We're going to win the national championship
Number
this
9.
year. Number 9. Like, we are going to win. It's hard as a fan base to say, no, you're not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, you can look at some things and be like, well, the roster's got a hole here and there's some skill issues here. But this team is hard to find and nitpick those pieces out of to be like, this is why they will lose.
The only reason I could honestly think of in a non-biased way would just, knock on wood, just be injuries.
Yeah, injuries in the same kind of the similar deal what happened last year with Jax Robb and Lamont. You know what I mean? Where you have these key pieces
where it's like not
hurt.
just injuries at a few times. Like all these guys getting banged up at once to the point where you're playing
like
Colin Chandler at
the
point
middle
guard.
of the SEC schedule too. Like when it really counts and when you need to be winning
The fact that they
games.
still got a 3 seed with that. And
the fact
made it
that
to
they went to the Sweet 16 was like
shows a really good amount of what Mark Pope is capable of as a coach, mindset wise. X's and O's, everything about it. Everything about him just gets a lot of BBN excited for this season.
Yeah, it definitely gets me fired up. So I'm ready to go, and I'm ready to be done talking about basketball instead of watching basketball.
Exactly.
And,
Me too.
I think the players are ready to do the same.
Yep. So that does it for us for this episode. We won't have this was kind of our mini preview on Nicholls because that game's on Tuesday and we will be recording on Wednesday. But after that, we'll be recapping that and everything going forward. Make sure you guys all follow the Field of 68 on all socials. Once again,